Hi, I'm Kim Crabill.
And I'm Kylee Levien, and welcome to Teen Talk.
Welcome to Teen Talk. Kylee, it's so good to see you.
It's so good
Yay.
to see you and be back. I'm
It's
excited for
time
this
for
show.
another session. Remind everyone now, what is Teen Talk? What do we do here?
We like to talk about situations and just things that teenagers go through daily or like just every time with isolation or social pressures or whatever it may be. We like to talk about it, kind of dive deep into it, and find practices that we can do to sort of make those teens out there that feel isolated and feel alone have someone and have a voice to come to and talk with and just feel comfortable with.
Absolutely. Now, Kylee, what makes you why should we listen to you? I mean, I know you're a great actress. I know that you're a student, but have you ever, I mean, someone might look at you and go, I see her on TV. I see her on this. I see her walking the red carpet. I don't think that she could ever relate to me. But I think that as a person, as a teen, have you felt that loneliness? Have you felt rejection? Let's just dive into the realness. Have you felt that? Do you have a voice for that?
Yes, I mean, growing up in this industry and acting for 9 years, I have felt rejection all the time. I mean, you do 100 auditions and you book 1 out of 100 is the statistics that it's showed. And so you constantly are being told no in that sense. And with social pressures, being homeschooled, you're kind of isolated already within that group because you don't go to public school. You don't see your friends every day. And so I feel it's really hard to find that community and find that unity that Christ tells us we should have and wants us to have with people. So I think it's easy for me to feel isolated and rejected constantly, but it's the small things that I do every day and the small devotions and prayers that I just say every single day that help me stay rooted and grounded in Christ, because that shows me that I'm not alone and in him I can do all things.
Well, absolutely. And we're going to get to that hope. And I so appreciate that. Tell me, you talked about something there about you lean into Christ. So we know that, or you wouldn't be on this faith-based program. But tell those who are listening, maybe they don't really understand your faith, or maybe even what faith is or why that makes a difference. Can you explain a little bit about your faith and why it makes a difference?
Absolutely. I think what my walk with God recently has gained such a strong connection recently, just because my faith in the Lord has grown through the situations that I've gone through lately. And whether that be in school and or acting or friendship goals or just high expectations that I set for myself, and I always just think that I need to let my faith overpower all this anxiety, all the uh, drama, and all the other things that I'm going through, the rejection and the anxiousness. And lately, I've been very, very focused on my education in school. And so I've done an overload of classes, and that's kind of made me feel overwhelmed at sometimes. And
Yes.
another thing is, it's completely normal to feel like you're kind of falling short of God, but know that you're not. So, with my walk with the Lord right now, I mean, it has grown within the past 2 months insanely. And but that doesn't mean that every single day I'm on fire for the Lord, right? So some days I'll wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am doing so good. I feel like the perfect Christian woman. And other days I wake up and I don't even want to get out of bed. And I feel like I'm falling short of the expectations I've set for myself and the expectations I've set for myself with the Lord.
Thank
But
you so much for that vulnerability and that openness, because I think right there, if we just sit in that, I think so many people are leaning into like, oh my gosh, that's how I feel. It's almost like a roller coaster ride of emotions. One day I feel so great, I get the yes, a friend calls, or I get to do, and then the next day it's like, bam, it's like rock
mhm.
bottom. So you said that you try to overpower those rock bottom moments with your faith. Tell me, for someone out there listening, they might go, well, what does that mean? How do I do that? So What is your intention? What are your techniques to power through?
Yes, so some things that I hold close to my heart and that I've been diving into a lot more recently is prayer. So I feel like prayer has always been like a second option or something that I'm like, no, it's not that important. But within the past few months, that's my immediate reaction to something has been going to prayer or going to asking the Lord or giving it all over to the Lord. So prayer has really, really helped me just with everything, absolutely everything. And I think sometimes it can be so underestimated how much prayer is important, you know? And so that's one thing. I mean, I also set little goals for myself every day. So I open my Bible and I'll either read one chapter or like 5 chapters, but it really just depends. Like, don't set too high of a goal. Like, I'm going to read 60 verses every single day. Like that resolution I tried this year, it lasted 2 weeks.
Yes.
So set small goals for yourself that you know that you can achieve, but still fulfill you and give you fulfillment within the Lord.
I love that. I want to go back to these two things because these are very meaty for anyone who's listening and teens. I want you to see Kylee, yes, as the great artist that she is. I mean, you see her, like I said, in the movies. She can talk about some of her projects before we close today. She's been awarded, for her acting. She does lots of things. We know that, and we applaud that. But she's also a teenager who is trying to walk out her faith, just like you are in your faith, whether it's school-based or college-based or wherever you are. That's important to you. And so two things that you've given here that are so monumental that may seem small, like you said, but see, that's the conflict that we have to deal with. What is really small in our spiritual walk? Nothing is small if it helps grow us or power us through.
Exactly.
Prayer. Okay, to you, what prayer is? Communication with God, right? It's that simplified. It's not filled with these, thys, and thous, right? You don't,
Mm-hmm.
like we think. It's not the King James version of the Bible, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's not anything fancy. It's just a simple sentence with the Lord.
Okay, good. So give us an example. Let's just say you wake up and you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, I really, I'm just feeling bad. I'm feeling useless. I'm feeling whatever." But let's just say it's one of those days where you're just hitting rock bottom.
Mhm.
Give the teens that are listening just an example of some things that you might say to the Lord.
Yes, this happened the other day. I woke up and I wasn't feeling like 100%. And I felt like I was letting myself down because I had a million things to do that day. So I woke up and I opened my Bible because I was like, I need the Lord to be with me. Like, I need his reassurance in my heart right now. But I literally just said to the Lord, I said, Lord, I give this day to you. I pray that you're with me and that I know your hand is over my heart through this day. And I thank you for giving me another day of bread and life and family and hope and love. And I pray that today I can obey you, and I pray you forgive me of my sins. It's as simple as that. I mean, whatever you're trying to focus on. Recently, I've been praying a lot for peace within the chaos, and that's gotten me so many places. But it's the small prayers. Like, it's not anything big, fancy, extravagant. It's the smallest things. Like, celebrate the small wins.
Well, that's exactly right. It is going to, and what I love what you said is you recognize the need. And
Mhm.
we so many times in our prayer, we will dance around the need and we'll talk about all the good. And it's okay just to say what Kylee, what you just said, Lord, I need you now.
Mhm.
And speak into existence. Tell him, be honest with him, right? We don't have to pretend that we're super spiritual when we're talking. Well, we don't need
Exactly.
to anytime, but especially when we're talking to God. Why is that? Why do you think God just wants us to be raw and honest with him?
Well, God knows us inside and out. I mean, one of my favorite chapters of the Bible is Psalms 139, which talks about how we are fearfully and wonderfully made. But it's like God knows every word before we speak it. He knows every thought before we think it. So he already knows where your path is going to lead you, but he gives you the option to repent to him and to surrender your life to him and just put your life in God's hands and be willing to do that. And so he already knows what you're going to do, but you've got to know that you can trust the Lord with all your heart and all your might and all your strength.
Absolutely. I love that. And keep the Bible says to pray without ceasing. Many times I don't say amen. I just say, let's go, God.
Yeah, I'm
And
just
it's
like,
just
let's
open.
go.
And I find myself praying for everything. It's like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
Lord, I need you extend my day. I need you and Lord, I need patience now. It's like, help
Mhm.
me to close my mouth, Lord. Help me to know when to open. I mean, it's so let's just say, right now there's a lot of, oh, well, before we go to that, let's go to this other, because another thing you just said that I was going to say, but you beat me to it when you were talking about the small goals. So you say two things that you utilize, principles, strategies when you are having one of those down moments, which we know John 16:33 says, in this world we will all, that's not limited to certain ages, we will all have
Mhm.
trials and tribulations. So during those times, you gave us two techniques that you use, and I love them, starting with prayer. And then you said you set small goals. I love that. And because if you set the small goals, you can celebrate big when you hit them, right? How
Exactly.
important is it, Kylie? And I know with your personality, and I know with my personality and most people's personalities, we push ourselves. And how important is the celebration, and so that we're not always just pushing to the next thing, um, but that we stop. And this is one thing I teach all the time, is like, you have to stop and celebrate where you are. How important is that, even in a teen's life? Tell us about how you celebrate your small goals.
Oh, it's insanely important. I think it's one of the
Yes.
most important things you can possibly do with a Christian life. Yeah, celebrate just your small wins, whether it's finishing a really hard test or a really stressful day and getting through it with the Lord's help, or having the courage to pray when you feel overwhelmed. Those are all victories. Those are something that I would count a small win. Don't underestimate them, because every small win leads to a big win, right? And
Yes.
each small win is evidence of God's work in your life. So that prayer, and also reminding yourself of God's presence in your life, I like to think of it like carrying a backpack, sort of. God is carrying some of that weight, and you don't have to hold it all. So
Yeah.
give it to the Lord. And I think those three things have gotten me every single day of my life, just has helped me realize that God is with me through thick and thin. So, yes, celebrating your small wins is one of the most important things, because it reminds you that you are capable of so many things and your strength in the Lord is never ending.
Well, and it shows that you got through. You didn't give
Exactly.
up, right? You didn't stop. You pressed forward. How are some ways you celebrate?
Some days I will just go treat myself to like a nice dinner or ice cream or just something that I feel really passionate about, or like I'll go to an event. Maybe I'll go hang out with some friends. And like recently, I've been so focused on my school and then God, my relationship with Jesus. And so those two things have kind of overtook my entire life. And so I got to a point where I woke up and I read the most of my Bible that I ever have in a very long time, and I was like, I'm gonna celebrate this small win. So
Yeah.
that day, I called a friend and I was like, Hey, can we do a Bible study together? And I don't get to talk to this friend very often, and it's just the small things, and just kind of just uh, communicating with your community and with your
Mhm.
people around you.
Yes.
People around you, they do love you and they do care for you, and they want you to ask them for help. They want you to lean on them, because that's what they're there for. And I think oftentimes people can sort of immediately just turn to isolation, like, oh no, I'm gonna do this by myself, I'm gonna depend upon myself. But the Lord tells us that you do not have to depend upon yourself. He created community for a reason, so lean upon that community. So yeah, whether it's an ice cream a day, or whether I'm just doing a Bible study that fulfills my heart, or going to hang out with friends, like I'll go shopping sometimes and just be like, this is my small win, this is the victory I get.
That is so good, and sometimes isn't it the best for me, Kylie? A lot of times my celebration is to say, "You have an hour where you don't have to do anything," you
Yep.
know? Like, I just like, "Oh my gosh," "That's finished." I don't and it's like a pressure-free, just it's like a little gift, to myself, and, taking a walk, all those things that you said, it's a
Mhm.
way. Let me ask you this, and, if the answer is no, that's okay. But do you journal?
I do. Mhm.
Oh, I
I
thought you
think
might.
journaling your thoughts is so, so important.
Yes, and that's another way I celebrate is I write it down. I go,
Yep.
"Oh, yay, God and I got through that," and I think tell me why you journal because I think that all teens, all people, should journal. It's so therapeutic. As a Christian counselor, I'm always recommending that in
Mhm.
different ways, in different forms. What has journaling done for you, and why would you suggest that to the teens who are listening?
Sometimes when I go through a really hard day and I don't wanna talk to anybody, I kind of just wanna talk to God, but at the same time, I wanna remember where I'm at in my life, and so
Mhm.
I will journal it, and I'll just write down. Sometimes I'll say, "Dear God," and sometimes I'll say, "Dear future me," just to whoever's reading this, and I'll
Mhm.
just write about my day, I'll write about what is going on in my life, kind of the things that I'm going through, whether that's good or bad, or the friends that I have currently, or just to see myself in a different perspective. And also, when you write down your thoughts or your emotions or whatever it may be, you're also remembering it on a deeper level. So you're
Yes.
remembering every single thing you write, and that can help with later understandings if you do decide to kind of open up to your community and open up to your friends and family, because then you can talk about your emotions and what you've journaled down and where you are at that place in your life.
I love that for all those reasons that you said. It's such a good exercise. And
Yes.
sometimes we don't want to say what's really on our mind. Sometimes we don't even know how to say it, right?
Yeah, sometimes you can't even put it into words. It's a
Yes.
bunch of different things that you're going through that you don't know how to talk about, but just at that point, you can just ask God, "God, give me the words to speak, give me the understanding of what I'm trying to get out and try to write down," and God will give you that reassurance.
Yeah, and sometimes, I remember I go back to journals when I was a teenager. Sometimes, throughout the years, I'll just write, I don't even know what to say, God.
Mhm.
I'm at that place where I'm just seeking you. I just show me,
Yeah.
and I think that's an important place for people to understand also that it's okay. It's like you don't always have to have the answers. Waiting time is not
Mhm.
wasted time. Let God just lead you as He wants to. Trust His timing. All those are really important, aren't they, Kylie? To you is just understanding that okay, maybe I didn't get the no today, the yes today, but every no is leading me to a yes, and that can be if you're trying out for choir at school, if you're waiting on that perfect person, if you're in college,
Mhm.
whatever it is that every no is really leading you to the best yes.
Oh, absolutely. And everything that's meant for you will happen in God's plan and timing for your life. I absolutely love what you were saying. I think another powerful thing about journaling is you can look back through the years or the days that you have journaled. I just was going through my journal and I saw some from 2022. And it's, you see yourself in a, with a perspective, and you're like, how much I have grown is crazy. Because
Yeah.
how much God has worked in my life, and I can see it every day, and looking back through this journal is so insane and so beautiful to me. Like, I that's one of my other favorite things about journaling, because I've been doing it for years. Like, just seeing how God has worked in my life and seeing the people that God has brought into my life and taken away from my life. And just seeing how that has shaped me as a person and as a Christian woman and all of the above. But I absolutely recommend journaling because it's a way to get your thoughts and emotions on a page.
Absolutely, and it brings so much clarity and so much
Mhm.
comfort, and,
Oh, definitely.
I'm such a big believer in it.
Mhm.
We're winding down, we have 4 or 5 minutes left. Kylie, I'm thinking as we're talking, I'm thinking, you've been so grounded in the word, your mom, your grandmom, your dad, your siblings, probably, obviously your church, different ways. I didn't have that when I was at your age. I mean, I'd had some words from my grandfather, and my parents were great. They were just trying to figure it out too. So, uh, but what if someone is sitting and they're listening to this and it's late at night, and and they're looking and they're doing a replay and they're going, man, I just wish I had what Kylie had. I wish I could have that confidence. I wish I could have, all those right answers. What would you say to someone who just feels so alone, maybe is being abused, and no one even knows? What would you say to those people? How would you help them?
I would say focus on your strength and the strength that the Lord has within you. One of my favorite quotes that I remind myself of often is strength grows in the moments when you think you can't go on, but you keep going anyway. That's faith and perseverance combined. It's not about feeling overwhelmed or feeling depression or anxiety. It's about choosing to keep moving forward despite your circumstances. And another thing is for those of you out there that are in this social media world as well, it's so easy to compare yourselves to others. I mean, social media is like a double-edged sword. On one side, it's so powerful. It's so good for community and everything. And on the other side of the sword, it's tearing you down and it's tearing your mental health down. But social media can make it feel like everyone's life is perfect or everyone is 10 steps ahead of you while you're still 20 steps behind. But God didn't make you to become someone else. He made you to be you and to find your own path within him. So he made you to walk your own path, walk your own purpose, because everyone has their own purpose. Comparison steals joy and peace. So when you focus on your own journey and you celebrate your progress, even if it's small, that is powerful. And that shows your strength within the Lord. So just remind yourself of the strength that you have and just ask God to give you peace and reassurance within your life.
Thank you so much. I just feel like, um, that those were ministering words to, let's face it, being a teenager is not easy. Being my age, and don't ask me what that is. Uh,
Like
you know,
45.
oh, thank you. It's just, it's life is not easy, but it's manageable when we have the Lord and when we have other people. And even at the times when we think that we can't keep going, God is always, like you said, He's always there for us. And we just have to find that community of people, or at least be able to, as David said, strengthen yourself in the Lord, which means get in the Bible, do what you said, start your prayer life, have the small goals and celebrate, and then to realize that the presence of the Lord is always there with you. Kylie, what is a Bible verse that you would like to leave with our audience today until you see them next time?
Oh, there's so many, but I'll leave on one.
Okay.
What we were talking about today, sort of when you feel fear or anxiety or just uncertainty in your life, I like to think of Esther from the Bible. Esther was in an impossible situation. I mean, she risked her life to stand before the king and save her people, and that took insane amount of courage, and she didn't know how it would end. Right? She just stood there with uncertainty filled in her head, but she
Uh-huh.
trusted that God put her there for a reason. And so
Yes.
a verse that we can relate back to is Esther 4:14. It says, "Perhaps you were born for such a time as this." And this reminds me that the moments where we're most scared or most afraid, the moments when the world feels so scary and so big and so heavy, like during that, there was an active shooter at my brother's school not too long ago, and that put so much fear in me. And
Oh,
those exact moments is God is calling us to trust him and shine his light. Just like Esther, we have a choice. Let fear
yes.
control us or step into faith knowing that God is with us. And that's what Psalm 23:4 says. It talks about promises even in the darkest valleys. God's presence is our comfort. He's there for us. So just remembering those verses in the hardest of times is really helpful.
That is so great, Kylie. And Esther, when she started into the saving of her people, she was only 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
And if you remember, she said, if I perish, I perish, but I
Mhm.
must do what God has called me to do. So what a beautiful way to end this. We're all born for such a time as this. Whatever it is that God, you don't have to wait until your 30s or 40s. Your ministry starts right where you are. And so look around and find that. Kylie, I just so respect you and honor you. Thank you so much. We watch you in the movies, we see you on TV. What a thrill it is for everyone to see you just as Kylie, as the person who is struggling to be more like Jesus every day, who is becoming stronger in her faith every day. And we just love you dearly. And I just thank you so, so much for being our teen person that's able to be that voice of hope to all the teens out there. Love you, my friends, so much. And thank you so much for another great Teen Talk session.
Love you so much, Miss Kim. Thank you so much for having me again.
Absolutely. Let's say bye to everybody with a big mwah. Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you guys.
Bye bye.